Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, my beautiful people. I hope you are well. Welcome to my channel. My name is Raphael. I am an astrologer, a tarot reader, numerologist, and energy worker. For those of you that don't know me, if you are new to my channel, I would just like to say thank you so much for spending time here. And if you are a continued subby, as always and as ever, you know Rafi loves you. So just a little bit of housekeeping. So I hope you guys are well. Let me know where it is in the world that you are at this minute in time. Where are you tuning in from if you are here right now? And if you are watching this after the fact, you can put it in the comments, but I probably won't get to it. So yeah, just to kind of give you a little heads up there. If you are here, or if you haven't been to one of these before, today is Jupiter's Day. Today is Thursday, so it is Jupiter's Day. Big Daddy Jupe is in the house. We're going to have a look at what Jupe Juice has in store for us over the course of this week ahead. And yeah, with that said, let me just bear with me just a moment. I hope you are all doing well today. Today is Thursday. That is very loud. Um, so I'm guessing you can all hear me. Good morning, good afternoon from wherever you are. Thank you very much. I thought I'd smarten it up a little bit today, although it is quite cold in the here in the Shire. I thought I would grace you guys with a little bit more of a professional outlook. I know you guys don't really care what I wear because it's really about the content that I bring you. And remember, Jupiter's Day is all about the Jupiter's blueprint. So we're looking into luck, growth, expansion, all of those good things that Jupiter represents, and how you can use this over the course of the week ahead. But yeah, I thought I would smarten it up a little for you this week. This week, or yeah, well, today and this week. So I hope you are having a fantastic day. So Laurel Berg, my Aquarius sister, Alison Cole, Jan Wallace, Watkins Cat, Asleep by Nine. Hello, 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 Paul Grutzemacher. Hello, brother. I will see you very, very shortly. Liliana, hello, lovely to have you. So thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you so much for checking in. So obviously we're here to talk about Jupiter. So whenever we're talking about Jupiter, we are talking about the energy of growth, expansion. We are talking about the energy of luck and levity. Jupiter goes in the chart, it does bring a lightness. Jupiter also brings healing. Jupiter also brings vision and prophecy, right? These are things that we don't necessarily talk about with Jupiter energy, but it is actually linked to those things as well. Jupiter is the dignitaries, it's the higher ups. If Leo is the energy of the king and the queen, well, Jupiter would be that person, right? Jupiter is also sages, gurus, teachers, coaches, anybody that feeds us with knowledge in some way, shape, or form. And being the biggest planet in our solar system, it really packs a wallop, and therefore it actually stops us from being smacked or battered by various other items in the sky that travel through, through and around and past the Earth. So it does have a protective element to it. So in ancient mythology, Jupiter was Zeus. And so when you think about who Zeus was as an energy or as a deity, Zeus had multiple lovers, right? More of everything, more and bigger are all things that you can definitely associate with Jupiter. Anywhere that you feel like you have a majestic type of thing, being, item, etc., you are definitely tapping into a Jupiterian energy. So just like Venus is a blessing planet, or known as the lesser benefic, Jupiter is known as the greater benefic, and it does have an energy of cohesion. It tends to bring, it will bring a synthesis of the things that we're working on in a specific area of the chart that it goes through. Now, Jupiter currently, as everybody knows, is in the sign of Gemini. It's currently retrograde as well. So Jupiter in an air sign, it's not always at its best, right? But that being said, it will expand whatever it touches. It will expand whatever Wherever it travels in your chart, it will bring a lightness there. As we say, right? Sagittarius, which is a Jupiterian energy, as is Pisces. Pisces is, in the ancient system of astrology, Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. So when you think about these two signs, you're talking and you're thinking about energies that have a boundlessness to them, right? So through the trope of Sagittarius, we're looking at the teacher, the coach, the guru, the sage. We're looking at the healer. We're looking at the great philosopher of the zodiac. When we're talking about Pisces, we're talking about that true, genuine altruism that we talk about. We're talking about true spirituality, true devotion, true what's the word that I'm trying to find? Yeah, true devotional or spiritual service in some way, shape, or form. Now, wherever Jupiter goes, it will bring those kinds of energies into that specific sign. So at the moment, we're obviously Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. We are hearing a lot about education, about communication, conversation. By the time Jupiter leaves this sign, I do feel like we'll probably have either new publications, maybe even new social media platforms. There's been a lot of development around social media and the conversations that are happening on, with, and through social media, as well as mental health, right? Pisces, the spiritual sign of Pisces, is the 12th sign of the zodiac. And that 12th house slash 12th sign energy, they're not the same thing. There is an overlap, but they're not the same thing. There is an element of our spiritual and our mental health being really brought to the fore. Now, if the sign of Gemini has a lot to do with communication, conversation, what we're saying, how we're saying it, and also our mental faculties and processes, it makes sense then that Jupiter in the sign of Gemini is having a lot more dialogue around those things like mental health, how social media either helps or hinders those kinds of things. We're seeing AI explode at the moment, right? All of these things that are going to become commonplace. Gemini is about things that we use or do on a daily basis, and it's also about multiple things. Now, Sagittarius and Pisces are both mutable signs. They're both mutable energies. This is why Jupiter in Gemini, out of all of the air signs, I think it's probably better placed here because Gemini is a mutable sign. Okay, so that being said, sorry, I can see something on my lovely sweater there. That's driving me mad. So what have we got in the comments? Liliana says Jupiter in the second house in Taurus. That's nice. It's in my first house. Let's just say there is more of me to love. Right, so Jupiter, wherever it goes. Oliver Twisted, good morning, my brother, or should I say good afternoon at this point for both of us. Um, Wherever Jupiter goes in your chart, it will expand that area. It naturally does that. It brings growth. When you think about Jupiter's rule as ruling Pisces, which is the ocean, it's pouring water onto something. What happens when you pour water onto the earth? It grows, it expands, right? Jupiter has that ability. So whenever it moves through the first house, the sixth house, and maybe as well even with so I usually say like the first house and the sixth house, but it can expand the waistline, right? When it moves through the second house, it can really increase that love of sweet luxurious things, like all of those really rich foods. Jupiter loves things like that. Jupiter rules honey, right? Honey was considered a royal delicacy, very Jupiterian in a sense, right? Venus is sweet things, and just like when Venus goes through a sign, she brings a sweetening energy. She makes us more charismatic, diplomatic. Jupiter moving through a specific sign can make us more grandiose, right? It can see us attracting and bringing things to us. It can see connections with or to authority figures or benefactors really start to improve because we have that much more weight. We are that much more, we become more of a vortex. So wherever Jupiter is at this moment in time, honey is liquid gold, right? Absolutely. There you go. Love that, Liliana. So think about this. Where is Jupiter for you now that it's currently moving through the sign of Gemini? What house does that occupy in your chart? How is this showing up for you? How are you personally experiencing this? Um, I gotta say, on a personal level, I'm not really feeling Jupiter in Gemini. It's not so much that like I'm enjoying it in that regard, that's what I mean. But when I say I'm not really feeling it, what I mean is I haven't really noticed anything in that specific area of my life start to really unfold yet. I can see how it can and what the potential possibly is, but for me personally, it's brought a lot of change of what I'm wanting in that space, but I haven't necessarily seen anything connect on the ground as yet. So, really interesting stuff. Eva Maria says she's got it in the 12th house. Jupiter in the 12th house is probably one of my favorite transits because it acts like what I call genuine guardian angel energy. So the blessings of the zodiac or the blessings of Jupiter in that sign tends to come through hidden or unseen means. It tends to come in the dreamscape. Pay attention to your dreams at this time because they could be really informative. There's a protective element here. So it's kind of like because the 12th house represents hidden enemies, and another way to see a hidden enemy would be your what is a self-sabotaging behavior? It's a behavior that's coming from within the depths of you, right? Sometimes that we're not even really aware of how it trips us up. And so Jupiter, an energy of healing being in that 12th house, can bring a lot of healing to you, especially through like a talking therapy at this moment in time. That would be really good for you to do, Liliana, right? Because it's Gemini in the 12th. So talking about your fears, talking about your past hang-ups, hurts, issues, with a therapist, with a coach, with a guru, with somebody that's going to help you really make sense of your past. This could be an incredible way for you to go at this moment in time. One of the things that I will say is that self-sabotaging tendency, sometimes that's the hidden enemy. Sometimes the call is coming from inside the house. That's the way that I like to talk about the gnarly stuff in the 12th. It can be true, genuine, people behind us, like, doing all of that and all the rest of it. It can absolutely be that. But the 12th house, a lot of the time, the call is coming from inside the house, right? And so Jupiter can bring healing to that past energy for you. Um, let's have a look. What else have we got? Jan Wallace, Jupiter at 33 degrees of Aquarius, 0 degrees of Aquarius, 0 degrees and 33 minutes. Ah, the magic of tea. That's a very British thing to say, isn't it? But I love a good cuppa. Not like milky tea or anything like that. I haven't drunk tea with milk in it for probably about 16 years. It's just not something that I do. For me, it's always like a fruit tea or a herb tea. I'm always blending various different things, roots and herbs and eggs and all sorts. So Jan says she's got this moving through her eighth house. So this is bringing a really big focus to your joint and shared resources at the moment. It could also be helping you look at or into your personal crises and trauma. These are all things that are coming under that eighth house. It's also because the North Node is going to, no, 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 ignore that. That's, I was thinking about somebody else's chart. Um, Lots of interesting things here. So, Watkins Cat says therapy started as well for me and my children. That's a really wonderful way to do it. So, Rach Angel says, what would Jupiter's transit in the eighth signify? So, your eighth house is a really broad house, right? It's packed full of various different things. On a practical level, it's joint resources, shared finances, your partner's money, it's taxes, loans, debts, big money, banking, plutocrat kind of money, right? It's all of those kinds of things. It's mortgages as well. It's really morbid as well. Do you know what the word mortgage means? Mort is the French word for death, right? And gauge, like a death gauge, or as one of my friends who's into that kind of stuff said, it's actually a death debt. That's what the word mortgage actually means, right? And it's true. Like when you go back in history, a lot of people paid their mortgage until they, passed away. It's a relatively new thing to be, mortgage free, etc., and look to have that experience in your latter years, which is absurd as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, there's some morbid humor for you. Look, we're talking about the eighth house, right? So the eighth house being that on a practical level, on a psychological level, it is your psychology. It's your deep thoughts, not to be confused with the 12th house. There's a similarity, but they're not the same thing, right? So when we're talking about your psychology, we're talking about your wounds, your fears is the 12th house, things that really frighten you, your phobias, if you have any. On a psychological level, it can be conflicts and crises, right? So there's that side of it, but it can also be the eighth house is also spirituality in terms of the occult. This is your tarot, your astrology, numerology, the I Ching, human design, mediumship, all of that. People that are mediums, that are certainly the best mediums that I've come across, or people that genuinely have a solid mediumistic tendency, tend to have a really strong eighth or 12th house in some way, shape, or form. They will have solid, good placements in those areas. The eighth house being the occult, you might find that you want to find more meaning or learning, or learn more. Jupiter from eighth house subjects, the occult. So this is actually a really good time to study those things. It's also a really good time because Jupiter represents healing and the eighth house is crisis and conflict and wounds, etc. This is a really good time to work on healing those things in and of or around yourself in some way, shape, or form. Especially if you've got any traumas. This is if you've got Gemini in the eighth house, that means that you are a Scorpio rising. And if you've got Gemini in the eighth house, maybe talking about these things with a Jupiterian person, a healer, a therapist, a counselor, a coach, a guru, a mentor, somebody that has like a spiritual connotation to them, could be really good for you at this time. Same with the 12th house. For another thing for the eighth house, it can expand the money that you get from other people. Jupiter is the lucky planet, right? It brings expansion and growth there. On the heavier side of it, it could expand those crises. It could really make you look at those fears. It could make them more prominent, more to the surface. So it's like, okay, you know what? This is getting to the point now where it's actually stopping me living my life. I have to do something about it. And you go on that journey of healing. People that were naturally born with Jupiter in the eighth tend to have, certainly women with Jupiter in the eighth, they tend to have what's known as the touch of the goddess. They have healing hands in some way, shape, or form, whether that's massage, Reiki, whatever that might be. So just something to know, something to note. Uh, Men with, interestingly enough, men with, this is what I have found personally. Maybe you won't find this in any astrology books, but it's a trope that seems to keep coming up. Men that have Jupiter in the eighth house tend to, eighth house is sex as well, right? So if you were born with Jupiter in the eighth or the fifth, I'll say no more. Um, but men with Jupiter in the eighth tend to have vision and or prophecy. Um, what I've also found as well is men that also have Jupiter in Capricorn tend to have vision or prophet, or visionary or prophetic abilities. So really interesting stuff, right? Okay, so I've waffled on about all of this enough. I hope that helps, Rach Angel, and I hope it gives you some insight to think about, right? Um, hello, everybody, and hi, Claire Walker. Lovely to have you. It's been a while. Jeez, where you been, lady? Thank you so much for being here. So let's have a look at what Jupiter is doing over the course of this week. And truth be told, it's not a lot, right? I mean, Jupiter's retrograde, so it's tracking backwards at this moment in time. If you can see the chart, please let me know. So I will, you're probably just looking at my scary desktop there with like a million different things. Can you see the chart? Just let me know if you can. One of my partners has natal Jupiter at 0 of Gemini in the 12th. They've been paying close attention to my astrology rants this year, and the knowledge has been sticking with them. That's brilliant, right? Look at that. That's fantastic. I'd be interested to know what Jupiter rules in your chart then, and how that's having an effect on their stuff that's going on there, right? Okay, so you can see the chart. Fantastic. So here he is, the big guy causing trouble. No, I'm joking. So Jupiter is currently retrograde, and is not really doing a lot. It's holding that sextile to Chiron, which for me, this really is the epitome of healing through words, right? Whatever our personal or self, Aries, wound, Chiron, is in a sextile to Jupiter. A sextile is an opportunity. It brings the chance for you to have or experience something, but you have to work it. You have to do something with it. A trine is like it comes to your door, whereas a sextile is, well, there's a chance for you to do this, but you've got to make it happen. And with Jupiter being in the sign of Gemini, a sign of conversation, a sign of conversing or communicating or interacting, I really like that sextile that it's holding to Chiron as us really being able to talk about the things that hurt us, being able to talk about the things that have defined us in some way, shape, or form. Like I find myself recently doing this a lot. And you know what's really funny? Like 2 days ago, not last night, but the night before, so recently I've been having really getting ahead of myself. I have always had big dreams, right? Like in my dreams, and I kid you not, and I've got no reason to lie. I kid you not, in my dreams, I am always myself, like always. I'm never like somebody else or it's over there from me or whatever. Like I have moments, I've had dreams where I've watched myself but been aware that I'm dreaming, right? I'm watching my dream self do something, but I'm always me in my dreams. There's full color, full technicolor, smell, sight, touch, taste, even. I can count my fingers when people say, like, oh, you can't count your fingers in a dream. Rubbish. I'm telling you, like, my dreamscape is basically like my real life. But recently, over this last I would say 3 weeks. Well, actually, no, probably closer to 6 weeks. I've been having a lot of big dreams. Like, and when I say big dreams, I mean these are ones that feel like they're consequential and they feel like they're leading up to something, like it's all going somewhere. And just 2 days ago, I had one of these big dreams that centers around a theme or a wound that I have personally, right? So anybody that knows me knows it's on my website. I talk about this. Um, I tried to study at university level twice, and twice I flunked out, and it went horribly, horribly wrong. It's left a lot of trauma and wounds and fear around that whole experience. And as much as I would love to go back and see it through, I've kind of said to myself, not this lifetime, it's done, right? Next time round on the merry-go-round of life, you'll be able to do that. Now, there's a reason I'm talking about this, I promise. It's not just to talk about myself. Aries, for me, represents the ninth house. The ninth house is higher education, university, learning at a higher level, and all of those things. So that wound of Chiron in Aries, I'm feeling it very viscerally. And the fact that Jupiter is in Gemini, I've been talking about this, or I've been able to talk about it a lot more recently without the fear or the tears or whatever. Like I've been able to just talk about it quite openly, like I am right now. Like before, 2, maybe 3 years ago, I would never have shared this stuff online, on a YouTube, ever. right? But this sextile between Jupiter in Gemini and Chiron in Aries, I think is making it easier for us to talk about what those wounds are and be able to really process it to move on to say, okay, you know what, this was an experience. And yes, it really hurt, but actually it's been a part of forming the person I am today. So really, I am personally loving this sextile between Jupiter and Chiron. So get at me in the comments if you're here right now. What houses are these occupying for you, and what might that be showing up for you as? What do you feel like you're able to actually talk about a little bit more? Jupiter itself brings a lightness, and in the breathy and airy, talkative, communicative sign of Gemini, it's bringing a chance for us to breathe and to say, okay, you know what, this sucked and it was a hard experience, but you know what? I can talk about this now. I'm just curious if you know where this is happening for everybody else. Okay, so as we come into Friday, not a great deal happening, right? And it will stay at this 19 degrees. Remember, it's only really just started its retrograde. Um, Absolutely. If you can talk about it, you can let it go. I really love that. That's so good. I'm pinching that. Right, I'm totally pinching that. All right. As we come into Saturday, however, we've got a slightly different energy. Look at this. Luna, as she moves through her first quarter square, will come into an exact trine. She'll pass through an exact trine to Jupiter. Now, one of the things that I put for here was this trine to the moon in Aquarius, and then it's all of this as well. So she'll be in a trine to the moon, and then on top of that, both Jupiter and the moon will be in a sextile to that Chiron. This could be a release point, absolutely. I also think this is probably going to be some point at which whatever's played out on the wider world stage, we'll be able to collectively find some healing from it. We'll be able to kind of say, okay, you know what we've got, and here's how we're going to move forward through or because of that. Right. So, all things to think about. What I really like about this as well is being able to open up a true dialogue because the moon is our feelings. Moon in Aquarius is lovely. I love the moon in Aquarius. I am an Aquarius, so I'm probably biased, but I like this because it gives us the back off space. It gives us a chance to just go, okay, this is what it is. Let me process it more rationally and take my feelings out of it so that I can get out of my feelings and really into living. Okay, so loving that. As we come into Sunday, not a great deal going on. As we come into Monday, Luna will pass through the square to Jupiter, right? So that has the potential, Monday has the potential to be a little bit grandiose when it comes to the feels. Luna's going to be in, I mean, technically it's a malefic enclosure, but depending on which system you use, the moon is also considered a malefic. So, you know, swings and roundabouts basically, but she will pass through a trine to her celestial lover. So there's that, but it's that square to Jupiter, right? So this has the potential to be a bit of a testy day. Just something to consider around that. As we come into Monday, the moon will enter Aries, right? And is that no, that's Monday. Sorry, I've got a whole bunch of notes here that I've written down. Um, this is what I wanted to look at, right? On Wednesday, so the day before the next Jupiter's blueprint, the moon will be in a trine, it will pass through a trine to Mercury, but then it will join that sextile to Jupiter. What I like about this is it's a good day for a heartfelt communication, but it's a better day for a heart-based action, right? Something that feels like a visceral need to move forward with this. Now, the other thing is, as Mercury hits that 13th degree of Sagittarius, it's going to start applying to that opposition to Jupiter. Now, this is what's known in astrology because Jupiter is in Mercury's sign and Mercury is in Jupiter's sign. It's known as a mutual reception. So even though both of these planets are in a sign that they don't necessarily get on so well with, they are having a really good dialogue because they're speaking each other's languages, right? Mercury is speaking Sagittarius, so therefore Mercury is speaking Jupiter, Jupiter is speaking Mercury, right? They're talking each other's languages. Um, yeah, absolutely, Cindy, right? Absolutely. I think sometimes that's how we need to do it, right? Is to get out of here and just get out there and do it, right? The world is out there and it's a really big place that there is space for all of us in. And sometimes that's what, is really just required from us. Um, okay, so I like this day. Even if it is Moon Chiron, again, I think it's giving us the chance to really verbalize or to vocalize something that we are or have experienced, right? And to really feel it. And sometimes really feeling it is actually the way that you let it go. The talking part of it is vital as far as I'm concerned, but really feeling it to say, okay, you know what, I feel this now, but I'm not always going to feel like this. It gives us a chance to really release it. And the moon in Aries makes us brave. And so, in that sextile to Jupiter, Moon and Jupiter are fast friends. They love each other, just like Moon and Mercury love each other. So this is actually a really, really good day for some kind of, I would say, some kind of initiatory action. Just remember that, things are going to shift and change as we move through the rest of this year. So, in terms of our tarot, I would like to invite you to take a moment to take a breath with me. And as we're all taking that moment and taking that breath, I would like to bless my deck of cards for the forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So when you're ready, someone please tell me when to stop. Um, Now, for that, I am Aquarius with Aquarius moon. Child, I like Aquarius moon. I married a mooning Aquarius. Oh, Watkins. I love that. I can imagine, like, and I say this out of all love and jokes, but I can imagine when you guys argue, it's like the most intellectual, passive-aggressive argument that anyone's ever seen. That's hilarious. All right, so our first card is the growth catalyst, right? How do we tap into Jupiter's capacity for growth over the course of this week? We have the Seven of Cups. So it's an interesting one because this is, even though it's not a Piscean card, this to me is a very Neptunian card. So it has a link to Pisces in some regard. But this card, whenever this shows up, I always say to my clients, you've got to streamline your focus. Now, that might sound like an oxymoron. It might sound like a juxtaposition and all of those big fancy words. But truth be told, there are times where when you take something off your plate, you're actually able to get that much more done. So if you want to lean into growing and expanding this week and really pulling down Jupiter's energy for growth and expansion, even if the big guy is retrograde, the best way for you to do this is by literally or first of all, organizing what you have on your plate and knowing what to take off, right? This is where there's too many things, too many plates spinning at once. That's Jupiter in Gemini energy, absolutely. And so the message with this card is take something off the list. That's how you're going to grow this week, right? So I heard a really, really good example of this in business the other day, and it was whether you like them or not, I'm going to list some companies, and it's not about what they do or what they offer, but hear what the message is, right? KFC, focus on chicken. Google, focus on Google. Apple focuses on the I suite of products that are taking over the damn world, he says, with an iPad, an iMac, and an iPhone. Right, and a set of AirPods. I don't care. I love Apple products. I find them really easy for me. I'm not very techie, even if I am an Aquarius. Um, Give or take. Software, I'm actually pretty decent with, to be fair. Now, that aside, they focus on that one thing. and they magnify into whatever their one thing is in their business and look at what they've been able to achieve. Think about what you would be able to achieve over the course of this week if you said, right, everything else, obviously, we have life stuff that has to happen, but everything else I'm going to put on the back burner and I'm just going to focus on this one thing. Imagine what you would be able to do. Imagine what you would be able to really get done if you just focused on that one thing. Take the superfluous out this week and just focus on what you need to focus on. Oliver Twisted, my brother, I'm looking at you right now, yeah? Ollie's like soul family to me, so he gets it, right? Claire Walker says, thank you, Raf. You have just really helped me make a decision I've been ruminating on. Bless you. Big love, lady. That's what it's all for. That's made the whole day worth it to me as far as I'm concerned. All right, so our second card, the impact influencer, right? Remember, Jupiter also rules helpful people. So I love it. So this impact influencer card is really how we can connect with or draw to us helpful or impactful people. And this is the Eight of Wands. Reach out, right? Jupiter is in Gemini, the communicative sign. The Eight of Wands is emails, text messages, phone calls, it's interaction, communication. It's a lot of information that passes backwards and forwards really, really quickly, among a whole bunch of other meanings, right? But what I will say to you is if you really want the right people to connect with and work with this week, reach out. Send that email, send that text. If it's somebody that you worked with or connected with previously and you haven't spoken to them for ages, reach out. That's what the Eight of Wands is really asking you for. So that's really how you're going to impact or gain influence or connect with influencing people in your world or in your life. It's so crazy to me as well, because just this morning I sent an email to a really dear friend who I actually haven't spoken to in over a year. Like, I don't even know where that year went, but it literally just disappeared. And so to see that card, I'm like, I see you, dupes. In fact, let me see it in the comments. If you're feeling this dupe juice today, I want to see all kinds of fruits in there. I want to see them. Melons, grapes, oranges, apples, bananas. Let me see your fruits. Let me see that dupe juice up in these comments today. All right. And then finally, we have the luck lever, right? If Jupiter is the lucky planet, how can we best tap into that luck this week? How can we really focus in on saying, you know what, Jupiter, you're up there. I know, I feel your presence in my life. How can I lean into the luck that you have for me over the course of this week? And this week we have, you can't make it up, the magician, right? What's really funny about this to me is the magician is literally Mercury. What was the last thing that we talked about when I was showing you the chart for astrology? The mutual reception between Mercury and Jupiter, right? So literally through communication, through conversation, through interaction, through sharing. I am loving seeing all these fruits rolling up in my comments right now. I love it. I love it. I love it. Through opening up a dialogue, right? And one of the other things about this card is it's really about understanding and knowing that the power rests in your hands. I'm going to take all of you, certainly those of you that are my age and upwards, I'm going to take you back now. Does anyone remember the film Willow? Anyone remember the film Willow? About the small magician guy? Warwick Davis, I believe his name is. He was Professor Flitwick in Harry Potter. They did a limited run on Disney of Willow, like the New Age. I don't know if anyone remembers that film. I was obsessed. It was another film I was obsessed with when I was little. But basically, the Grand Wizard asks Willow, what, uh, where does the most power or the most magic in the universe reside? And he was going to say, in my own hand, right? But he didn't. And so he got the answer wrong, right? He said, that's it. The wizard says to him, which one of these three fingers, because there's three people that are going to become his apprentice, and he says, Which one of these three fingers holds all of the power and all the magic in the universe? And he was going to say his own finger. The magician card is a reminder that you have everything that you need at your disposal. Life, the universe, God, all that is concentrated in you. You've been given a life this time round with a brain that works and a body to make those things a reality. You are absolutely honed for success. And this card, which represents your consciousness, your personal power, and the application of your skill, is telling you that this week you create your own damn luck. All right, don't be out here waiting on it to drop from the sky. This week you have to make it happen. Make it happen for yourself. Another way that this could also show up as well, this could be an opportunity that allows you in some way, shape, or form to shine. If you've got an interview this week, you're going to ace it. If you are looking to start something this week, you're going to kill it. If you are looking to get anything in your brain out there into the world, you only need to use this. If you've taken any of my lunar lacuna, you know that when we talked about the Gemini moon, I spoke about this and I said this, and it's a really powerful saying, and that is the power of life and death is in the tongue. Speak life into your dreams. Get out there and make it happen. Stop doubting your own personal power. I don't care what's happening on the wider world stage. I really don't. I don't let any of that stuff stop me from doing what I need to do. Do I care about the people that are being affected? Absolutely. That's what I care about. As for everything else, I'm not interested. I'm totally switched off of that because I'm going there. All right. So I'm going to chuck these back into the deck. I'm going to give these a good shuffle. And when you are ready, I want you to tell me when to stop. And we're going to have a look at what's in store for the groupings of the elements and the signs. All right. Yes, that's it. Creating my own luck. Damn straight. All right. Oh, nice. That's a really good one. That's a really good one, Mackenzie. Excellent for healing your body. Really, really incredible for sharpening the mind as well. All right, stop. Thank you very much for the fire signs. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. This week you have the King of Swords, right? So the message behind this is you got to find your expertise. This is where you really start to hone in on what makes you great at what you do, right? This isn't about looking at or comparing yourself to anybody else. This is about knowing where your intelligence truly lies, understanding your personal skill set, and really presenting or positioning yourself as the expert in some way, shape, or form. This is also, because it's the King of Swords, this is about making a decision that's important for you this week from a higher minded perspective. Now, if you really want my 2 cents on this, which I'm guessing you're here, you're watching this, so you do, wait till the moon is in Aquarius. We talked about why, right? So as soon as that moon comes into that trine with Gemini, that's your moment to make a really solid decision because you're in a much clearer headspace. So if you're a fire sign, this is a really, really great card. For the air signs, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, you have the Five of Cups. You know what? This is so fitting with everything that I just talked about. Process your grief. Let go of your hurts. Jupiter is allowing you to see it from a distance, to get some breathing space, that the emotion isn't so in it, so that you can think about it, you can talk about it, and then therefore you can let go of it and process it, right? This is a time for you to, and this is like, you might say like, oh, well, that's not such a good message. Actually, I think it's the perfect message. As air signs, we tend to intellectualize our feelings. We tend to kind of think how we feel as opposed to just actually feeling it. And the message is to really feel it, right? To feel it, process your grief, let it be a thing. And then that way, once you've got that breathing space and it doesn't actually hurt as much, you can move on from it, knowing that actually it's built you into a stronger and more powerful version of yourself. For the water signs, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, you have the King of Wands. So we've got kings in the house today, right? So if you're a water sign, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, the King of Wands has a very special quality, right? And his special quality is out of all of the kings, the King of Wands has worked hardest for it. If you are a water sign, this week is really, Jupiter is really trying to give you the message to say, you have to own your journey. And what I mean by this is you got to sing from the damn rooftops. You got to really talk about this and say, you know what? Actually, I have put in the damn work. I have put in more time, effort, energy, grit, determination than anybody else. I mean, especially with that Mars transiting through the sign of Cancer, right? We've all been through it, right? But if you're a water sign, oh, it's like present. I hear you, my brother. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Right? If you are a water sign, you've already put in that work. And now it's time for you to really sing that from the rooftops. The other thing about the King of Wands, he doesn't forget where he's come from, but he doesn't allow that to stop him from where he wants to be. Four. And last but never ever least, you know this, I love my earth signs. The Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo among you, you have the Two of Cups. Jupiter is trying to remind you this week that sometimes there really is strength in numbers. The earth signs are famous for, you know what, stuff it, I'll do it my damn self. No problem with that. But Jupiter's saying, actually, if you give over and let me bring you a helpful person or a connection or a collaboration of some sort, I promise you, not only will you succeed, but you will thrive. Thus concludes. I think this has been a pretty good one today. It's felt good. It was a nice flow. So you guys in the comments, Liliana says school starting on the 11th in a NWE area for me. So, new area. This is a typo. It took me a minute, sorry. So yeah, perfect. Awesome. Kay Milan says, wow, I am definitely in reflective mode. And you know what? Sometimes it really is the best place to be. Because when you allow yourself to get out of, or rather just to feel what you feel instead of trying to intellectualize it, as Laurel said earlier, if you can talk about it, you can let it go. But in order to be able to talk about it, you've really got to feel it. Okay, so with that said, if you like the way that I do astrology, if you want to get into this for your personal chart, hit the link in the description box below. You can sign up to get a session with me. I would love to get into your chart with you. Have a wonderful Thursday for whatever you're doing for the rest of your day. You guys are incredible. Those of you that always show up for me on a daily, you know Rafi loves you. Thank you so much for being here. I wish you all the best for the day and the week ahead. Tap into that juke juice, right? Make sure you tap into that. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Go out there and be who you are destined to be. You know Rafi